Time now for our Save Big Money at Menards Fox feature. And in my 30 years of interviewing players, I'll tell you what, not since Michael Jordan have I come across an elite athlete who has remained grounded and, despite the increasing demands of his time, remains patient and respectful towards the fans and the media. While I was at spring training, I went one-on-one with last year's National League Most Valuable Player, Kris Bryant.
I'm the real MVP. I'm the real MVP.
This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over.
I'm the real MVP.
It was fun. I mean, a lot of commitments, but I mean, it's to be expected after the type of season we had and the history that we made. So,
Did it exceed what you even thought might happen?
yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, especially right after we did it and kind of getting back to Chicago. But you know, this offseason was pretty cool. In Vegas, I saw a lot of Cubs fans, so you kind of really see the magnitude and how far, you know, this whole World Series really spread.
I know Joe's been driving home the humility theme. Do you guys own or get it? I mean, I am going to assume that you get it, but do you think the clubhouse as a whole gets it?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, you know, that might be a theme this year, but I mean, we even had it, I mean, since I've been in this organization, just from top to bottom, everybody, you know, exhibits that quality. So I don't think it'll be too hard for us. Obviously, winning a World Series is pretty cool, and some guys, you know, their head might get a little too big, but here you don't really have to worry about it, even though there are, you know, Ferraris at practice. It's just more so for the fun part of it, keeping it loose. I mean, you kind of expect that here.
I know you said that you weren't going to think about personal goals until the end of spring training. How can you do better than National League MVP?
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting that a lot from, you know, teammates and, you know, everybody around baseballs. But, I mean, honestly, I mean, I look at last year, and it was a good year, but there's still a ton to improve on. And I think that moment where, you know, you kind of feel that you don't have anything left to improve on is where you start going downhill. So I'll never think that way my whole career. There's always going to be something I can get better at, and I'm going to strive to do that.
Anything crazy out of the ordinary that happened this offseason for Kris Bryant that maybe we didn't read about or hear about that you might be able to share?
No, nothing. I really, honestly, I tried to just relax at home, my family.
In the air to left. Well hit. Ethier back, and it's gone. That's a grand slam for Kris Bryant. First homer of the spring.
Would you be disappointed if you guys didn't repeat, considering even though it's as hard as it is and the Yankees were the last team to do it? Would you personally be disappointed?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be disappointed every year that I don't win a World Series. That's the type of expectations that I think we all should have of ourselves, and you play to be the last team standing, and any year that you don't is a disappointment. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Where's this guy going to end up on the list of greatest Cubs ever?
Wow, that's a great question. I guess that probably depends on whether he's going to stay here after his contract is up. And,
good point.
And you know that Theo Epstein's going to do everything he can to sign this guy for one of those monster deals. You know, he could be looking at 10 years and $300 million or something like that if it's done sometime in the next year or two. He's almost too good to be true, right? When you're standing there talking to him, use the word humility before. That's not something you have to worry about with Kris Bryant. He is as honest as they come. He is as decent as they come. He comes from a great family. That probably has a lot to do with it. I think he'll have as good a year this year as he did last year, or maybe even better. He talked about it. There's always ways to get better. He's not the kind of guy who's going to rest on his laurels from last year. Kris Bryant always wants to be a better player.
Off the field, I was impressed with him last season. I was even more impressed with him this year at spring training. He's got it all together.